a saying that most of us have probably heard at some point or another, my friend, and that is that blood is thicker than water. And again, that holds up scientifically accurate, and we even know when water separates from blood, it's not a good sign for our health. But the thing is, generally, when we hear that statement, we think of blood is thicker as water as being a promotion, or basically that we'll always go for family, or family will always stick together over whatever ideal, whatever nation, whatever kind of division that they would have between them, the family will always go together, or you should always go for family. Yet there is another kind of statement out there, and some would say that the one we commonly hear is just a shortened version of the other. And the other statement is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which pretty much turns everything on its head. It's the complete opposite of what we would generally associate with blood is thicker than water. So the thing is that in basically generally ancient times, there might be some more recent than others, but the spilling of blood was used to signify the taking of an oath or vow or covenant. It was the establishment of it, it was the seriousness of it, that it could not be broken, or at least should not be broken, or the penalty of if it was broken. And sometimes it was even by mixing of blood. But the thing is that it was establishing that there was something more important than anything else, and that the promise was to be kept. It's basically a love died not honor more. It's something is higher than what would be traditionally considered the highest thing. And the reason to really think about this in both kind of like real life and stories is that it brings different perspectives to life. And then we all have our own perspectives on what's important, what's not important, what should be done in situations, what shouldn't be done in situations. And so in kind of relating to people, it's important to consider that we don't always see things the same way. And the key aspect for writing is to remember that characters probably shouldn't always see things the same way, because it gives that fuller and richer kind of perspective on these characters as being almost like actual people, rather than just kind of figments of the writer's imagination that all just spout the writer's viewpoints. So that's kind of the key thing of bringing in different perspectives, where the writer may not even actually agree with a character's perspective, but they're writing them because the character would believe those things. So it's just something to really think about. But in part of this also to be explained in when you have those different perspectives is it's also the motivations for characters. And that you have one character who is motivated by keeping their family safe and so forth over everything else. So they may actually be betraying other people because they're choosing family over them. Whereas you have someone who is pitting honor over all, and so they may be leaving their family behind or treating them as not really important or less important than actually following through with the ideal they have espoused. So it's just something to really think about. And again, what kind of side the story ends up on is, what is the story about? What is it trying to say? Or what is the writer trying to say? So you can often tell when the writer has a specific point to make about something, that the story tends to gravitate towards that side as being correct. But another way of doing things is to actually contrast them, and not just basically say, oh, one is right versus the other, but to have two different characters that are both espousing the viewpoints. So they may be a pair of siblings where they find themselves on opposite sides of the war, where one sibling has chosen their family and the other sibling has chosen their ideals. So they're also now both like, why are you doing this? We're family, I don't want to do this. But you have betrayed the family, or the other one is like, I can't betray my ideals, or you have actually betrayed our ideals because you went with our family, or however you want to say it. Whatever the setup is, it tends to create interesting contrast and conflict between characters. Another way of doing it is to have different cultures espousing the different ideals. So you may have one culture that is very family unit based. Everything is for the family. Basically, the individuals don't always matter, but the family matters, and that is what's most important. And then you have another culture where it's like, your family history could be completely undone because of a vow you've taken, or you may be shunned because you actually broke a vow. the family may not even take you back, even if you did it for them because you broke a vow. So it's something interesting to really think about. And I think part of what would separate kind of stories that focus just on one over the other is bringing in the upsides and downsides of either perspective. Because then there can be situations where one seems to really be preferable over the other. And kind of we can take it almost class as an example where we have the villain parent versus the child who's trying to be a hero. So you can have both internal and external conflict in that the hero is kind of surrounded by people who are either doubting or believing in his intentions because they have that idea of, oh, because their family is evil, then, or on the villain side, then they will choose to be with the family. Whereas other people are like, they've made their vow, they will be fine. They're making the choice to be with us over their family. This may actually be hard for them, but they're making the right choice. And then you also have the hero who is actually experiencing, do I choose my family or do I choose my ideals and so forth? So it's something to really think about, and you can really play with it a bit when you think of both the downsides and the upsides to any perspective. But anyway, these are my thoughts on this matter, so why not feel free to share yours in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, you can like and share it so that others may enjoy as well. Anyway, I'm Jonah, and you've been watching Lionsmade Media, where we celebrate stories and the lessons learned from them. Thank you for listening to my musings. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.